Akin. Again, look at the conical car. This one is longer than the rest, but it's the same character. Look at that round face up there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I submit, we are all Egyptians. Ethiopia, so when you say Egyptian, it means black. When you say Ethiopian, it means black. When you say Nubian, Cushite, Egyptian, Moor, Theban, these are names that were born over the years. Our original country was called Kemet. That is, the original country of the blacks was called Kemet. It is from there they got chemistry. It is from there they got chemistry. And if you are in doubt whether the Egyptians were good chemists or not, I will show you some pictures. Those pictures in the tombs of the pharaohs are at least 4,000 years old, and they are still as bright as ever in color. You know when you take your color print, how long does it last? 1 year? These pictures that I'm going to show you, they are 4,000 years old, and they are still as bright as the one in those days, including the picture of Nefertiti, which I showed you. So, nobody needs to tell you that this is a black person. But you will read in some books, they say, oh, why did the Egyptians, why are they black? Oh, they are white, but you see, because the color of the land of Egypt is black, so all the artists started to paint their pharaohs black. What kind of lie is that? It's white power. They are trying to distance us from our ancestry, and we are going to trace that ancestry and be proud of it. I want to point out, because Egypt is very fundamental to our story, what are the Egyptian roots of key legal concepts? Look at the concept of monotheism, concept of one God. Listen to what this African said. I describe him as the African who discovered God. He discovered God because he's the first human being in the world to speak of, I quote him, a God of all beings, imperial, universal, common to all. That was an African, Akin. Sounds like my name, but it's not the same. So, it is an African who discovered divinity. It is an African who first discovered the nature of God. That is important because as we go on, it is on the basis of monotheism that we now have the concept of the divine ruler. Oh, it's ordained by God, and that is why they find a priest to anoint him, and so on and so forth. They still anointed Queen Elizabeth in 1953. The Bishop of Canterbury still poured oil on the head of the present king to tell you that Egypt rules the world in terms of ideas. Monarchy. Don't forget, monarchy is the basis of natural law. There are two legs of natural law. The first one is the divine ruler. The second one is that even though you are the divine ruler, you cannot transgress against the rights of God's creation. So we are now seeing Egyptians bringing out the concept of human rights from the concept of the divine ruler, and so on and so forth. We are going on. Look, all of us are familiar with the scale of justice. As a matter of fact, that is the most significant iconography of law. If you go and Google it, you will say, oh, that is that lady holding the scale and blindfolded and the sword. That lady is Lady Artemis, a Greek goddess. No. Lady Justice was African. It was the goddess Mat, an Egyptian goddess who was called the goddess of truth and justice. Not justice, truth and justice. I am emphasizing truth because when you are searching for truth, what is that? Law of evidence now. Lawyer, is that also? If you don't like it, don't say it. Now, because if you look at it very well, that beautiful image of the African woman is a symbol of justice. I used to think, and nobody corrected me, when I see the scale, oh, scale of justice, what does it represent? I will say to myself, guilty or not guilty. If you start putting the weight and the weight goes down, oh, guilty. If it doesn't go down, that was what I thought. But those symbols represent truth and justice. Let me say to you, and I say with all due respect and with God, this picture, I repeat, Faculty of Law of the University of Lagos leads the way in giving Lady Justice her true black identity with the statue that adorns the front of our faculty.
Now we don't talk about that. Even me and Kali don't talk about it. We don't see other lady of justice irony. But this one, one funny leke.
Why was she called the Lady of Justice? Because she had a set of 42 rules, which she called the admonitions of the goddess man. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to suggest to us that it is from the admonitions of the goddess man, those 42 rules created, that we have our criminal law today. Let me explain. Goddess man created 42 rules of conduct based on moral and ethical precepts. Of course, we know that is the most important dichotomy of criminal law. Law and moral, not so. Lady Justice is telling us that you cannot have justice and you cannot have law without morality. Look at one of the admonitions of the goddess. I'm quoting her now. The harborer should not get away from the penalty of the thief. The harborer should not get away from the penalty of the thief. I put it to you with all great respect that this is the law of aiding and abetting, or the law of accessory after the fact. The harborer should not escape from the punishment of the thief. The accessory after the fact bears the same complicity as the major transgressor. Look, we have read so many places. Oh, the first murder that was committed was Cain and Abel, and so on and so forth, particularly if you are religious side. I say to you that, as a matter of fact, 10 Commandments was copied from the admonitions of the goddess man. Listen to this. Goddess man said, I have not killed man or woman. That's what she said. It is what Moses now turned into, thou shalt not kill. There is a direct link. There is a direct link. The first murder was not committed in Jewish land. It was not Cain and Abel. It was Osiris and his brother Seth. Osiris had a beautiful wife called Isis, and he had a beautiful son called Heron. Now Seth was without child. He got jealous, and in the dead of night, he went and murdered Osiris, cut his body to pieces, and scattered the pieces, quote and unquote, all over the earth. Isis went and picked up the bodies and reassembled it. And as she reassembled it and wept over the corpse, lo and behold, where the navel is, a feather grew out. And then in his loins, his penis stood perpendicular to his body. That is the beginning of the concept of resurrection. That is the beginning of. I'm not trying to run down any religion. I am saying what is already in the record, and I'm trying to transpose it and say, how did we get this? I say with all due respect, if the first murder was recognized in Egypt by those admonitions, ladies and gentlemen, do you know that the very first nation state, the very first country in the world was Egypt? So if you are talking about the concept of statehood, according to modern international law, a defined territory, a defined population, and a stable government. This was the first state in the world, Egypt. So African democracy. Many of us know that we have an African democracy. We are busy ascribing democracy to Greece. Oh, demos, and then critics. We are always giving everything to Greece. We are the owner of democracy. Let me tell you how democracy develop? It developed from African republicanism that we still practice in some of our villages. Elders, the upper age group, the women, and so on and so forth. They come together. It is the Diopa, the oldest elder, that metamorphosized into the monarchy. And you still find that in many African states, that is the beginning of democracy. Monarchism, you see how long it has lasted. I was talking about Queen Elizabeth. All over the world, monarchism is a recognized form of governance. Africans started it. We're talking about federalism. We seem not to know the meaning of federalism in Nigeria. Egypt was a federation, a combination of Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, Nubia, and some other states. So the combination. So it was a federal system. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the citizens of Egypt. Can you see yourself there? Look. If you walk and point, they don't look like you. Ladies and gentlemen, the first multiracial state was North America. Trump might be blowing his trumpet anyhow. They are not the first multiracial state. Neither was Rome. Neither was it British Empire. The first multiracial state in the world was Egypt. And you can see the races of Egypt together. But because the blacks outnumbered the whites, even in these pictures and so on and so forth, that means that they were the original population, but they were welcome visitors. If you married an Egyptian girl, you became an Egyptian. You became an Egyptian citizen. Citizenship started from Egypt. I am telling you how it was defined, and I said so in my paper, through the matrilineal string. I mentioned the kings who are responsible for federalism. We cannot go through it. King Nama, King Menes, Bianchi, Shabataka. When we hear that name, you know that one is not a European name. Shabataka. Egypt. So, I mentioned Bianchi, but this is important. Egyptian jurisprudence of international law. We had always believed that international law started and ended with Hugo Grotius.
Yeah.
Your good friend, Hugo Grotius. No. The first empire in the world was Egypt. Do you know that at one point, Egypt, we always look at how they got some other foreigners to come in. Egypt got some, but essentially, Egypt was always on the receiving end. The Arabs will attack, the Indo-Europeans will attack. But after a while, one king said, it's time for us to expand. And when Egypt started its expansion, 110 countries, listen to me now, 110 countries formed the Egyptian empire. Different countries, you'll be surprised. Kadash, Syria, Akkad, Babylonia, Iraq, there are blacks in Iraq, Greece, and so on and so forth. And then Eastern Mediterranean, Crete, where Greece is today, Cyprus and Cyclades, all were under Egyptian authority. The king of Egypt appointed black governors into all these 110 countries, black governors running the place, and that empire lasted for around 210 years. So when we start talking about empire, and we start believing that, Britain, the empire on which the sun never sets, have you gone back to your own history? How do you run 110 countries if you don't have international law? If you don't have law of treaties? I have mentioned all those treaties and all those laws in my write-up. 110 countries. Now, they said that Hugo Grotius used natural law to advance international law. And we kept on clapping for him. And I've been clapping until I got this information. I'm no longer clapping. You know what happened? Look, listen to one of the black pharaohs. Pharaoh Thothmes the Third. He was talking about natural law. He said, one God, imperial, universal, common to all. This is the justification for international cooperation. That was exactly the thesis of Gugusha. This man was 4,000 years before Gugusha. Who copied who? Who? I don't know. Look, somebody proposed, listen to this, it was Amenophanes. He said, he projected the idea, and I'm quoting him, equal federation of nations. What does that sound like? United Nations? Of course you are right. United Nations, 3,000 years before 1948. We are the owners of law everywhere. When we say law, African law, that's why I'm no longer African customary law specialist. I'm African law. It's larger. We lay the foundation for everything. Listen more. Look at international arbitration. The empire was done in such a clever way, and it looks like the law of international Pacific settlement of disputes. If one of your member states offended you, you don't go and levy war again. You go to the king of the pharaoh and you ask him to mediate. If he finds you or the other one guilty, it is the united forces of Egypt that will go in there and beat out the punishment. Does that sound like all the United Nations troops going here and there and trying to, put out all the bushfires of civil war here and there? It started from Egypt. We don't know our history. That's why we are not imaginative. That's why we are not original in our ideas, because we think we are follow, and we are now until we wake up. Jurisprudence of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, you will not believe that these were vibrant African empires. Ghana was rich in gold. Ghana was exporting cotton, not raw cotton, manufactured cotton. If you look at the history, around 1120 BC, Ghana was exporting. So Ghanaians were dressed in rich silks. One of the fiction of Western imperialism is that when they came, we were on the trees, eating ourselves and shooting and killing ourselves and boiling missionaries in the pot. Nothing could be further from the truth. We were a vibrant, intelligent, expansive people before war descended on Africa. Can you imagine an army of 200,000 troops, larger than Nigerian army? This was the army of the king of Ghana. Now, justice, because we are interested in law, the king took justice to the people, and he was very keen on remedial solutions to problems. Whenever there was a case, he would order reparations, he would order remediation, he would order compensation.